Can you hear me, all of you? Yes? I'm sorry, but I can't match you in saying Miss Sharma and all that. That was very formal, and you reminded me that I'm back to school. So before I start, I want to tell all of you I'm very nervous coming back to school, and with the kind of claps and all that you guys are doing, I know you're very smart, and you'll troll me if I'm not going to say do a good job. So let's make some ground rules, all of you. We'll keep the session very interactive. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Have some energy. Yeah, you guys are school people, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And so we'll keep it very interactive. Any questions, anything that comes to your mind, any question, please ask, because otherwise it's going to be a waste of your time to sit here and listen to this. And it will also not be very useful for me because I've come from Bangalore to talk to all of you, because I was told that, oh, I'm going to meet very smart school kids and I need to talk to them. So we will make it very engaging, and the other request is don't talk among yourselves and pretend that you are listening to the speaker. Done? Done. Okay, cool. So let me tell you my story. Let me tell you a story which, maybe let me start with a story when I was, I completed my 12th standard and I went to this school, this college called St. Stephen's College in Delhi. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah, so here that's one college where you have to get 101 out of 100 to get admission in that college. It's a very insane, mad place. So you get good marks and then you go to that college. And I went there and we had... Listen, all of you. So I went to that college, and here in this big auditorium kind of place, they had a club in the college called DebSoc, Debating Society. Do you guys have Debating Society in your school? So, yeah, so they had this DebSoc where all the smartest kids from all over the country who had come to the college, they applied to get into the DebSoc. And I thought that I'm also very good at speaking. So like everyone else, first year of college, I go on stage and start saying, they say, oh, the topic is this. So I don't remember the topic, but there was some topic and you have to go on stage, take the mic and start speaking. And I spoke, I blabbered and said, and came down, and in the evening, the results were going to come out. And I thought, okay, the only person who will make through this competition is going to be me. Because I'm so good. Right? Like I can speak very well, I'm so smart and amazing, so I'm going to make through this. But what happens? In the evening the results come out for the, for people to get selected, and there were 8 people who got selected, and I kept on looking and my name was not there. So the only person who thought that I'm going to be on the top of the list, my name was not there in the 8 people who got selected. And I realized, how bad is this college? This is such a bad college. bad college. And that realization suddenly dawned, oh, why are people saying St. Stephen's College is such a great college? I thought it's a bad college. Then I realized people who evaluated me, these judges, they're even worse. They are so bad. And then I thought, all the other 8 people who got selected, I thought they're so bad. How did they get selected? Like I should have been there, my name should have been there, how come I'm not there? And then I went and asked, why didn't I get selected? So they said, oh, but you came and you spoke. There is a Shakespearean way of debating. And I was like, debate means just go on the stage, stand and start speaking, right? What is this style of speaking and that style of speaking? Speaking is speaking. So then I realized it's nobody's fault. The fault lies in my school, because they did not prepare me for this college. So I go back to my school and I meet my teacher and I tell her, ma'am, we are such a backward place. We are so behind. you know, you don't know Stephens is such a cool place, and there people have this kind of debating, that kind of debating. We don't even know all these things. And it's so miserable. And then I didn't want to tell, you know, how do you tell your teacher that you are also bad? But that time I knew she is also bad, because everyone is bad other than me. So I told her, ma'am, you also need to know, world is changing. Times are changing, you know, there are different kinds of debates and things that happen. So you don't know. And my teacher, she's looking at me and she's smiling. And I was like, and by the way, I didn't tell you guys that my schooling was in Bihar. It's in Patna, a place which is, when I grew up, is, you know, and still it's considered very backward. And I thought that, okay, I'm from Bihar, I did study in Delhi, I was not in Mumbai, so even worse. So my life was so miserable. First, I was in a backward state. Second, I had a backward school. Third, I went to a crazy college. So I kept on telling all this to my teacher. You know, what she told me is something I would love all of you to remember. So she told me, so I kept on saying everything is bad, everything is wrong, and my life has been so wrong to me and everything. So she holds my hand and she tells me something in Hindi. And I'm going to tell this to all of you. And I want all of you to remember this. And remember as long as you can, because I remember it from first year of my college. When I said how everything is messed up and how I didn't get what I wanted because of lack of, you know, good school, good teacher, good people everywhere around me. She holds my hand and she tells me in Hindi. How many of you understand Hindi here? Amazing. Very good. So she tells me in Hindi, and listen, I don't know if you guys will get it, but let me just say, in Hindi समझो, वो हाथ पकड़ती है मेरा और कहती है, श्रद्धा, remember this, जो नहीं मिलता है, जो नहीं मिलेगा, वही तुम्हें दौड़ाएगा. What you lack. What she meant was, what you lack will make you run. So every time in your life, when you don't get the marks, when you don't get the thing that you want, when you don't get what you're really, really looking for, always remember what you will lack, what you will not get will make you run. And you will run, and you will run fast, and you will succeed because of the things that you didn't get, not because of the things that you got. And now I will tell you my story. So I started your... So I grew up in Bihar, in Patna, and I think most of you will not even relate to this, but I grew up in a family of 4 daughters, and it used to be very backward times that time. You know, being a girl child was looked down upon, and we were 4 daughters. So the whole desire was, how do you succeed? How do you do something? And how do you get good marks and have a great life? And which I did, and I went to this college. And after that, I came to Mumbai, and I started working in this newspaper called Times of India. And from Times of India, very quickly became vice president and joined CNBC news channel. Because, you know, if you work hard, then you keep on doing well in your corporate ladder. But the only thing, the question I always had, and I'm going to ask all of you this question. If I ask you today, what is your story? Let me ask you, what is your story? Tell me. Huh? Think about it. Anyone wants to answer? What's your story? Tell me. Huh? Hello. Anyone wants to take a... Yes, tell me, what's your story? Yeah.
most of us come from. Me specifically, it's just like, yeah, like a loving family and household, and where people support you and you can and you have the ability to do what you want to do. And yeah, that's
Very good.
pretty much it.
Thank you. And good. And you know, let me tell you, it takes courage to stand up and speak, so congratulations. So, you know, the thing is, the question which I had is, we study, we do all our schoolings, we make friends, but one of the things that we are not taught very early on is to answer is, what is your story? What is my story? Who am I? What am I going to do? What do I stand for? What's my purpose? What gives me joy? And what's going to be my story? So when I was in Times of India and CNBC, I realized I want to do something. I didn't know exactly what, but I really wanted to tell stories and understand stories of people. So in 2008, I started Your Story, which was very unconventional. I didn't know how I'm going to make money, what am I going to do, but I knew that I'm going to tell stories of people. And stories of people whose story nobody wants to listen to. You know, we all want to listen to stories of superstars, very cool people, very successful people. But when do you tell stories of people when they are not superstars, when they are not successful? What is their story? Who are they? What drives them? What makes them depressed? What makes them happy? Who are they and what makes them special? And that's how I started Your Story, and I'm very happy to share with all of you that in the last 10 years, we have told 90,000 stories. And we have told stories of people, you know, who have all, when we started telling, they were all, you know, doing different things, but now they are all very successful. But we didn't tell their stories when they were successful. We told them 10 years back. You know, all these big companies, entrepreneurs you would have heard of, Flipkart, Ola, all these companies, their founders, what's their struggle, what's their journey. We started telling those stories 10 years back, when they were young people, dreaming, making mistakes, figuring out what to do. And that has been the journey. And you know, for me it was very difficult because Times of India and CNBC, everyone knows, getting a good job, being very successful, having the designation of a vice president in a large company, everyone respects you. But when you leave everything and say, okay, let me leave and start something, do something which my heart says, do something which I'm passionate about, tell stories. In fact, I have a joke that once I was meeting these very amazing people, big people, in a 5-star hotel. They asked me, what do you do? So I said, I tell stories. They said, oh, but what do you do during daytime? I said, I tell stories during daytime, because stories we generally hear in the night time, right? But I tell stories, and it was very unconventional. That time, that how do you make a business out of storytelling? How do you make something out of it? And that's been my journey in the last 10 years. We've expanded globally. Mr. Ratan Tata, all of you would have heard of him. UC Berkeley Endowment Fund, all of them have invested in the company. It's doing very well. We are 110 people. And now we're just saying that how do you take an Indian story, because we always read about international media and people from US and everywhere, but how do you take your story across the world and make it the biggest storytelling platform in the world? And we'll do it. And it's an exciting journey, and that is my story, and I will not bore you any further because I can tell you so many stories, but it would be best if you guys ask me questions. Yes? Yeah. Can you tell me your name, please?
My name is Dhruv Arya. My question is, on Your Story, are there companies that give out their story, and do investors use this site to maybe put money into small cap stocks that these companies might have, these smaller companies? So is this used by investors as well, or is this just a place of an individual telling a story?
No, it is basically these are individuals and companies telling their stories. So when we tell stories, then investors come and invest in those companies. In fact, last count through one of the events that we do, $850 million were raised by some of the companies that we showcase in a program. Yes.
So out of like all the stories that you've been telling like all your life, which one has had the most profound impact on you and like
Thank you. Very nice question. You know, there are many stories. So see, right now, like for example, I'll tell you one woman, she used to keep on calling on my mobile all the time, and I want you to do my story, I want you to do my story. And I was like, no, okay, we will, I'll connect you to someone in my team who can do your story. And then she said, no, you know, but you have to listen to me for 2 minutes, and still if you think you don't want to do my story, then you give it to someone else in your team, because I want you to write. So I said, okay, tell me. She said she's in Mumbai, and she said that, you know, whenever I go to my building, all the kids like you guys start laughing. So whenever every day when I enter, come from home in the evening, the kids start laughing and they start saying ghost, 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 right? Bhoot aayi hai, bhoot aayi hai. And then she says, it takes a lot of courage for me. I also start scaring the kids because they start making faces at me and they are so bad to me. And every day I stop myself from crying because the kids make fun of me every day in my own building. And I was like, why will the kids every day make fun of you in your own building? But she said, you know, by every day scare them and then go inside. So she was an acid attack victim and her whole face was burnt. So, but the story is not that. The stories, of course, the kids were making fun because she was not picture perfect or beautiful, but she had a burnt face, so they used to make fun of her. But you know what the story was? The story was that she said that other people like me who have been burnt like this should not be ridiculed or made fun by kids or anyone. So she started a company where she employed 200 girls who had burnt faces. And to me, that story is so powerful, right?
is there a specific moment in your life that motivated you to start it?
A specific moment in my life, you know, I honestly, 2-3 things have motivated me. One, I don't like structure. So like schools, I never liked. Because, I'll tell you why. Don't get me wrong. See, I don't like structures. As human beings, we are put in structure. Okay, the bell will ring at this time. You have to go to school from this time to this time. You have to be in office from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I think these are products of industrial revolution and they should disintegrate. So somewhere as creative, I think I'm more of a creative person than a structured person. So I really thought that I cannot work in an office. I can't do a 9 to 6 job because you have to every day be at 9 o'clock in the office. Like, just imagine how messed your life is. In school you have time, in college you have time, then in jobs you have time. How can you do things at your own time, your own pace, your own way? So that was always a theme in my life since college days. Second thing is I love people. I just enjoy listening to people, talking to them, because somewhere I just think, you know, magic happens when you connect heart to heart. And it's not just the romantic thing which we see in the movies, but magic and warmth and amazing things happen when we listen without judgment, without judging people. And I thought that I will do something where I'm just going to listen to people without judging. And I've seen the magic happen because today Your Story is a huge community of positive people who change each other's lives, who bring so much of magic, right? So these were the things which influenced me that, okay, let me start something like this, right? Because it was more of, okay, what do I like and what do I don't want to do? And that's how Your Story started.
Hi, firstly, thank you so much for being here. It was very, very interesting. So, do you have, like, what's your process to select stories? And I also wanted to ask, like, this, other than the story you just shared with us about the woman who started that community organization with all those girls, is there any other story, if not in the past 10 years, then maybe in the past 1 year, that personally resonated with you or you felt connected to?
Yeah.
So, like your process and a story you connected to.
Yeah, you know, so see, just to answer your question in terms of stories, the process of finding a story, one is that we've said that media, if you look at newspapers, I don't read newspapers. I don't know, any one of you here read newspaper? Yeah, good. Okay, good, very good. You know, I don't read newspapers in the sense like, because there are so many negative stories, right? Somebody got killed, somebody got this, something happened. So my thing was that how do you create a place where you read one good thing that happened today? Someone did one good thing, but they challenged their status quo and said, I'm going to have a different life. I'm going to fend for myself and do something different. So that's the process when we see someone challenging and saying, I'm going to have a better today and a better tomorrow, and build a company or build a startup or do something funky and fun and different and hard, then we cover all those stories and we are open to those stories. And stories which resonate with me, I always like underdog stories. Like, you know, whenever someone is, people say this person is not going to do it. This person will not make it. She doesn't have it or he doesn't have it. So those stories and people who don't listen to the noise but still go out and make their story happen, those stories resonate a lot with me. And there's so many, so many.
I'm not sure whether.
Ma'am, when you have when you're starting with a non-conventional idea like yours, how do you convince people about the benefit that your platform offers, and how do you convince them to invest their resources in your platform?
It's a very good question. So honestly, I wasn't able to convince anyone when I started, because they thought, as I told you, that storytelling is not a business, it will never work. And I met so many big influential people when I was starting here in Mumbai, when I was in CNBC. They said, oh, this is not going to work out. This is just going to be a hobby. You will do it for a few months, you come back to the job again. So I was not able, so when your idea is unconventional and sometimes it is crazy, then it's not that people will come and back you at that time. You know, the best answer to that is, if you are very, very convinced, like you are madly, deeply convinced about your idea, just go ahead and do it. Because once people start seeing that you're doing it and you are convinced, then slowly but surely everyone starts following you and everyone comes along. So for me, I started alone, but now, so you know, the world is magic now, because people come from all walks of life across the world to come and help.
I'm glad that question was asked before, because it's in connection to the answer you just gave. What about stories which are not so good and do capture the attention and do grow up to become something very, very not so great? I'm thinking, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of Chetan Bhagat constantly. And I am not able to understand that what does one do with those. I know the power of stories. I have an email ID called the Storyteller among historians. I went to the same college as you. Martin Kushner's work, I think it's amazing in terms of the power of story. So I understand the power that you're talking about, and I understand that a single person can take it to the next level. But what about stories which are not that great and are still becoming quote unquote popular, and you would want probably a different version, like the burnt face or people who suffered because of acid attack, or for me it would be partition. Those stories probably becoming and spreading, rather than stories that are written. And there are so many, Ravinder Singh, Durjoy Datta, Nikita. How many are there? So what about that spread? How does one think about, strategize, control that?
You know, it's a very good question to answer. You know, I'll give you an analogy of Hindi cinema. So in the 80s and 90s, people used to say, oh, Hindi movies are so bad. They suck big time. You know, but then Netflix came and the game changed. Right? Today on Netflix, Now the movies are forced to change because Netflix is dishing out such amazing content. And we could never imagine that you'll see those things on Netflix, Amazon Prime, the kind of stories that we are seeing, right? And now if you see Hindi movies are changing. I think it's a matter of time. I think once people embrace good stories, which we are seeing, I have millions of readers on my site every month, because when I started, I didn't even know anyone will read this. But once these are movements, slowly but surely the change is happening, and I think the focus should be on good stories and how do you consistently keep telling that. Then the noise around the bad stories automatically starts coming down.
Hi, okay. So, was there ever a moment in your life when you were so demotivated that you just wanted to give up on your idea? And if there was, how did you evolve from it, and how do you overcome that?
I have had many moments of demotivation, depression, anxiety. So I tell you, my mother passed away. She had a very bad accident in 2010 here in Mumbai. So in fact, I left Mumbai and moved to Bangalore because I just couldn't stay in the city. And I had started Your Story that time. And she had such a tragic accident that I wouldn't like to say, but just seeing your mother pass away like that just broke me completely. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything, because I went into major depression. So I went and saw a psychiatrist, because I knew that I don't want to be perpetually under depression, so I took medication. But Your Story helped me, because I was listening to stories of people, helping promote them, giving them a voice. So actually in the process of helping people, I helped myself, and I started feeling better and nicer and cooler. The best joy we think is by going to a great movie, having great dress, having great blah. But I think the biggest joy, the biggest, unbeatable, craziest joy is when you genuinely help people. And then you heal yourself. And I think that was a big moment for me. Many people have made fun. They said this is not going to work, the business model doesn't work, this doesn't work. But every time people have demotivated me, I think it has motivated me. Now sometimes I tell, I wouldn't have run Your Story for 11 years if people were nice to me. If they were nice, I would sit back and relax and chill. But because people pushed me so hard, I continued, and I will continue running it, because the dream that out of India, I will make the biggest storytelling platform in the world is a big dream, right? And it is going to be a hard dream, but I hope people are mean, and I hope people are rude, because then that helps you. But to answer your question, when I'm depressed or anxious, to go and speak to a counselor, go and see a psychiatrist, make friends, and just be open that, hey, today I'm feeling very low, and I am miserable, and I am feeling bad. I've been quite open about it, and I think that has really helped me come out of these situations.
Hi, so you said that you're a person who doesn't really like structure. So as a business, how do you run this company? Because what kind of business model do you follow with a team of 110 people and still manage to get in profits so that you can sustain your own company?
Very good question. So see, I said I don't like structure, but the best leaders, one of the things I learned is that what they lack, they should hire people for that. So, so I don't like structure, but I've hired smart people in my company who are so structure obsessed, who are so process driven, and I hate them and they hate me, but we love each other. And it's sometimes so hard that they will ask me that, okay, so can you send this in the next 2 hours? And I'm like, oh, but I'm in a meeting, I'm traveling, I can't do that. Oh, but we need the answer right now, it has to go, or something. Once you get investors, you have to send MIS every month, which is full of numbers and Excels. So you hire. So, the point is, the good thing you realize with time, you don't have to be good in everything, right? You just don't have to be, nobody on this planet is good in everything. So you work on what you are good at, you optimize on your strength, and for everything that you're not good at, you just hire people. Find those people.
Hi, I was just wondering, how does the business generate revenue? What's the model?
That's a very good question. You remind me of my investors. Good. So today your story reaches millions of people, and these are all entrepreneurs in India. So it's a very targeted platform. So one of the biggest source for us, so it's like a marketplace where all the large enterprises and companies which are looking at connecting with entrepreneurs, they give us money. So be it Facebook, Google, WhatsApp, Cisco, you name them, P&G, L'Oreal, all of them give us money because they are all looking at connecting with entrepreneurs. So one is through branded content that we do, through the matchmaking of large enterprises with the small ones, through all different kinds of research we do for them. So these are the ways and we've also launched education through which we get subscription revenue. So that's how we make money.
What kind of pioneering or strategic ideas has your company utilized to get to this stage?
My dear, I love you for saying pioneering ideas. Now let me say something. I think the pioneering, sometimes it's not the pioneering idea, but I would say to get to any stage for any company, because innovation we keep talking about and pioneering ideas, but I feel ideas are dime a dozen and anyone can come with a better idea any moment, right? I might come with an idea, you might come with a better idea in next 1 hour. But it's not about the idea, it's about two things. One is about consistently doing the same shit every day, right? And doing the same thing. Sorry, my language, I guess. See, that's why I shouldn't come to a school. Doing the same thing every day, right? It's like brushing your teeth, doing the same thing, and being extremely, consistent and focused. And I think we've just been that for 11 years where we had a lot of distractions to do 10 different things, but we did. So we said no to a lot of distractions and focused on the core of what we started to do, which is to tell stories of innovators. So I think that has helped the company be very, very good.
So during times of when the main topic of discussion is something that's religiously or politically or socially polarizing, so how do you choose which stories you should publish?
So luckily we are not in that area. So we cover stories of young people who are doing interesting things and trying to change their lives and lives of people around them. So we don't cover politics. So that way we are very safe and we don't get into those controversial stories. But to just let you know, I met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I spent 2 hours with him. I listened to his story when he told about what all he's doing, and that was very cool, exciting. Yes.
You said that you choose interesting. You said that you choose stories of people that do interesting things. What qualifies them as interesting? Because that's obviously a separate.
Yeah, very good. Such good. You guys are intelligent, yeah. All of you are asking good questions. Interesting could be, I'm using the word interesting, but I keep on saying, anyone who is trying to change their status quo, who's trying to change and bring about change in their own lives and lives of people around them, trying to create any sort of impact, those are interesting stories.
When you got the job of the Vice President of TOI and you took up the big risk factor of starting a new company, other than joining, if that company failed, other than joining TOI again, what were your other backups?
I never think of failure, yeah. I thought even if I fail, I'll continue. I never have plan B. Because the point is, first I will experience failure, then I'll be miserable in failure, then I'll decide. Today I can tell anything to you. I can bullshit and say, oh, I had a plan B. I had no plan B. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this very well.
I had a very genuine doubt. Keeping in mind the human aspect of your story. What differentiates your story from platforms like LinkedIn, etc.? Because when you describe the business model, I found.
Yeah, you know, that's a very interesting thing, very good question again. See, the world is, you know, everything is getting so, I wouldn't use the word colliding, but everything is overlapping in some way or the other. So LinkedIn started as a platform where you could find jobs and your profiles, and then now they have started putting content, right? Where everyone who has a LinkedIn profile can put content. We started as saying that we will tell stories of entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs from across the country, be it Kashmir, Mumbai, Nagaland, we will tell their positive stories. But to answer your question, in 2 months you will also see us having profiles. Because we think that for India, a very localized way of putting profiles, a way of telling stories in local languages is extremely required. Because I don't know if you guys are watching, but the next 500 million users who are going to come online are not going to be speaking English. And there has to be a solution for that, and that's what we are launching now.
Hi, so by a recent study by IBM, there's a 90% failure rate of all startups in the first 5 years in India. And you said the one method to counter that is to continuously try again and be consistent. But in careers or markets which are already saturated, a person trying again and again will not be able to find success. So what will be an alternative solution for a person who keeps on trying but still doesn't find success?
Yeah, you know, see, all of us have our own threshold, right? So for example, I'm giving you a very basic example, right? When you write your exam papers, right? I would say if the exam is for, like if your examination hour is 1 hour, you have to finish your paper in 1 hour, right? So I would say that, okay, maybe I know only 4 answers and I can finish it in 10 minutes, and the rest 50 minutes I can sit and think, God help me. Or I could say, okay, I did 4 answers, let me now take 10 more minutes to attempt the 5th answer, right? Or 6th answer. And then after that I know that, okay, even if I sit for 50 minutes or 60 minutes, I'm not going to fill all my paper, right? So might as well give it to the teacher and walk out of the room and at least have fresh air, right? So those decisions are very individual decisions, right? When to give up and how long to fight. When you see that, okay, if you fight, something will come out of it, then you continue doing it. But when you say, oh my God, I've done everything, I'm exhausted, and this I cannot do anymore, then it is a very internal calling which will say that, okay, now let's not do this, and let's move on. So I think the point is to listen to our own hearts, rather than to listen to what should be the time and what others are doing, but what do I feel? Right? I felt that I could continue, and let me continue, because there is some method in this madness, and which over time got proven right. But if I hadn't seen any method in the madness, I would have given up. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think now the questions are over, no? Huh? Yes.
Any more questions? Good?
I have one request. All of you, please, now that you have wasted so much of your time listening to me, go back and log on to yourstory.com and find some good story and send me the story which inspired you. Will you do that? If you can do that, that would be a great help. Any story which you thought is interesting, or any story you thought is bad, or anything you found is fake, or anything you thought should not be there. If you could do that, that would be very helpful.
Thank you. You don't want us to call you Ms. Sharma, right?
No.